For those who didn't grow up in the 80s, Double Dragon was a big deal when it first hit the arcade. It was fast action, beat 'em up fun. The game was most famously ported to the Nintendo Entertainment System and one of the biggest selling titles of the NES. By today's standards, it's pretty dated. But at the time, nothing got better than this. As bad as the third NES Double Dragon title got, it is the messiah compared to the '94 film adaptation, which was made well after the success of Double Dragon. Let's take a look at it and see if our perceptions of it can be any different than what people saw back then. Long ago, there was a medallion created by a Chinese king who split it in half and gave it to his two sons, one with power over the body and the other with power over the soul. The setting is a mix between a post-apocalyptic world and an 80s-90s punk environment. At this point, a villain named Kogashuko has one half of the medallion, the half with the soul. The other half is in the hands of the two brothers, Billy and Jimmy Lee. Or maybe I should call them Bimmy and Jimmy after that typo in Double Dragon 3 for NES. Anyway, they're being aided in the battle against Shuko by the leader of the Power Corps, Marion. Wait a minute! The original game placed Marion as the damsel in distress. I guess the reason they changed it is because they didn't want another movie falling under that cliché. I don't blame them, but really, does it excuse the horrible sense of humor the film attempts to throw in? One scene has Marion feeding a captured Bo-a-Bobo spinach through a funnel, and every once in a while, he farts. This is how low we're going. Not just that, during the action scenes, there's comical moments that are just inserted and nothing else. One instance is when Bimmy and Jimmy are fighting the bad guys and this postman drops down and flops face first into the mud. What was the purpose of that? Did we really need a moment like that interrupting an intense scene? Did anybody test screen this movie? The celebrity cameos? Oh boy, let me tell you about the celebrity cameos. They cast George Hamilton and Vanna White as news anchors. Hopefully their lines are spoken as though they are making fun of this film for... what word should I use? Oh, I know. Existing. As if that's not bad enough, Andy Dick gets a cameo as the weatherman dealing with the fogcast. Oh, come on! And the celebrities aren't even ashamed enough to hide the fact that they are in this movie, as they don't even go by character names. I think we all could have lived well on this earth without the knowledge that Vanna White, co-host of Wheel of Fortune, is an anchor woman in the Double Dragon movie, and she had the nerve to display it in the middle of the project without bothering to wait for the end credits. And speaking of cameos, during a final battle scene, we could see behind Bimmy an arcade cabinet of Double Dragon! How shameless. That would be like if in one of the Harry Potter films, we saw someone in the background reading one of the Harry Potter books. I could dedicate this whole video to how putrid this film is, but I should at least speak a few positive things. The stunt work is actually pretty good. It's certainly not groundbreaking, it's nothing new, it's the kind of stuff we've seen in martial arts films before, but they're not bad. If only comedy didn't get in the way of it being awesome. Seriously, why did they try to sneak some comedy in the movie? Not to mention bad comedy! Oh, maybe because the director, James Yukich, wanted to make a more lighthearted approach? That guy's a wimp! It's not like the games are completely safe from dark and serious plots. In fact, the second game starts off with Marion getting shot and killed by the bad guys, and Bimmy and Jimmy go after them as the revenge mission. The movie also experiences a character death that sets their motivation in the air, but it's a character we don't even care for, not to mention someone who wasn't developed like at all before she bites the dust. Due to all those flaws and more, this film has been highly considered by many to be one of the worst, if not the worst video game movie in existence. To be honest, it was around that time where people in America started making films based on video games, starting with Super Mario Bros., not to get confused with films about video games like Tron, The Wizard, etc. But during that time, video game movies were failing both critically and financially, so with Double Dragon, it was hardly any surprise that it flopped as hard as it did. After watching the film for myself, I could totally see why. Not only does it suck as a movie based on a video game, it also sucks as a film of its own. Even if you aren't familiar with the games, you'd still find yourself cringing out at how poorly done the choices in this movie were. If I were to tell you that a Double Dragon film released by Hollywood exists, you might not believe me unless I showed you footage, and when I do, you'd immediately regret it. I think it's safe to say that this is one of the worst movies to ever exist, and not just the type based on a video game.